Good evening, all. Hi, Steve.
Evening, guys. How's it going?
Hi. Yeah,
Evening.
very good.
How's it going, Lauren? You okay?
Morning.
Morning.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah, it's not evening. Yeah, we're saying evening. It's morning over there. Oh, yes. Morning. Good morning.
Yeah, so I'd like to say a
Morning.
big thank you to Lauren because it's 3 o'clock in the morning
Wow, yes.
in Oz. And you very
Wow.
kind agreed to come and be a guest host because, as you can see,
Absolutely.
there's the three of us now. So Ross can't join us this week. And Jay has decided to blow us out for Ed Sheeran. He's such a lightweight, as most of you say in the comments. So Lauren has kindly agreed to fill into both of their shoes, which I'm sure she will do very well. So I will come to you in a minute, Lauren. I'm just going to go through the comments and see who we've got with us tonight. Hafiz Shah, welcome.
Hafiz Shah, welcome.
Techers, hi Julie. The other Julie, hiya. Andy's Reef. John, evening, John. I've got news on the yellow Tang. You're not going to like it. He's still alive because you might be able to see him in the back, but you won't like the news. I'll come on to that in a little while. Economical, good evening, sir. Aquarium, how are you? Haley's in the house. I'm going just working my way down to see other people. NG Reefer. Liking that
NG
logo.
Reefer.
Like that logo.
Yes.
Hi, Andy. Now, what's that logo? Yeah, what's in yours? Is that a jellyfish in yours?
Jellyfish.
Like a jellyfish.
Yeah, it's a jellyfish. Yeah.
It certainly is. Hi, Russell. Hi, Howard. Sorry, I missed a few people out. What am I doing? There's the Poetry of the Witch. Good evening to you.
Yes.
Hi, Errol. Backshift of the Reefer. Good evening,
Reefer.
sir.
Jonathan. How's it going, John?
Julian.
Jonathan.
Howard. I think Russell I've said already, but evening twice if I've said that. Hello already. Stuart. Mr. Chris Allen. Lee's Reef. And that is
Reef.
it in terms of comments. Oh, we've got a couple more. Michael B. He's here. And then Tony Close, UK.
Tony Close. Yes.
Hi, Tony. And then
Reef
we've
King.
got Mr. Reef King, who's set up another tank this week, if I remember rightly. So I'm sure we'll hear all about that in the comments as we go. So hi, Carl. Right. So any questions for Lauren or for any of us for that matter, put it in the comments. So Lauren, it's a long time since you've been with us. I think you was on with us. I was looking last time back in November. I think the number of subs you had at that stage on YouTube was about 1,500. It might have been that. And now you're touching on 10,000. Not far away, are you? So fantastic. And I see loads of posts on that Instagram as well. So you must be doing something right. So what's going on in the reefing world with you?
Yeah, just keeping busy with the 6 foot and the water box. So it's been really, really fun. I think it's been 2 years now running at least the 6 foot. So it's been lots of fun sharing the journey on YouTube and everything. So I've been having a bit of a struggle with my water box, trying to keep SBS at the moment. But it's all a learning journey. So, it's been lots of fun sharing it all and learning along the way. So, I don't know what I was thinking though, with the YouTube channel, if I make any mistakes, I'm like, dang it, now I have to tell everyone.
That is true. So I saw the video recently that the 6 foot was 2 year old and you've been running it on a canister filter, haven't you? Which is very doable, I know, but very unusual in the reefing hobby. And a lot of people, it's almost like a taboo. Don't mention the canister filter. So how have you found that?
Yeah, no, it's honestly such an easy tank to run. It's been really, really good. And I haven't run into any issues at all. I mean, I've got really simple, easy to keep corals in there. So, maybe that's, I've got mainly softies, a few bubble tip anemones and stuff like that, but and just a whole bunch of tangs and everything. But it's been it's been a very interesting journey running it. I remember when I first started it, and then, you know, people going, "Oh, I'll give you a year and it'll all crash," and you know, it's I do wonder why, it's got such a taboo.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, people. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people shut their tank down within the first year. I think it's actually within the first 9 months or so, and that's with a sump. So, like when people see canister filters, they think there's no chance you're not going to be able to succeed in it and stuff. But like you said, you're dealing with, you know, easier to keep corals as opposed to, like, obviously SPS and stuff like that. So I mean, as long as because we over there, we used to call well, I know a few people, including myself, when I first was looking, because when I was first looking at setting up a reef tank, I was going to go with a canister filter because I was going to go with a aqua. It was an aqua 1400, which basically it never had a sump. It just had 2 canister filters in the bottom of it. And I was looking at it, and then people were saying, "Oh yeah, they're great, but the nitrate catchers and the this and the that, But it goes with maintenance. If you clean it and you keep on top of it, then just like you do with your normal tank, if it's a sump or if it's a canister filter, you keep on top of the maintenance and you do your good husbandry, then there should be no issues, you know, with it. And I think you're proving that you can definitely run it on canister filters for sure. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's and it's more so that you know, because I had this tank as a freshwater tank, I had discus in there before, and it's just because I had everything already, and I was like, all right, well, if I can do it on a, you know, what I've already got, make do with what I've already got, and make, you know, a saltwater tank work in the 6 foot, then that'd be epic. So. That was sort of what spurred it all, you know, onto, because I don't have, you know, if you were going to do the proper sort of setup for a 6 foot tank, you'd be looking at tens of thousands of dollars, you know, if you did the full everything, which I didn't, you know, have to spend on a reef tank. So it's, I was just wanting to see what was possible, you know, on, you know, just using what I already had. And I think it all comes down to maintenance and consistency with that. So but it's been cool, and it's, you know, it's not obviously not the only way to do it, but it's just a way that I hope that it can encourage other people into the hobby. You know, if they're going, a lot of people go from fresh to salt water. So
so I've seen you do water change. So do you do a weekly water change?
Yes.
So what's that, 10%, 20%?
It's about 80 litres, so, and it's $750.
Okay.
Yeah, I do about an 80 litre water
so
change.
Just over 10%. And how often do you clean? How often do you clean out the canister? Because I suppose you've got sponges, we've got bio media in there, sponges, and some carbon.
Yeah. Okay. So about once a month. So just clean it out once a month. And you're just topping up with RIDR water, and so no, it's been a great tank, and I still do the old school water changes with the buckets and everything, but I'm gonna see this weekend if I can. I've gotten a return pump, or one of those pumps finally to do my water. You can
pump it out and then pump it back in, because I've had such a pain. And I saw your Instagram post about, actually, when you're siphoning, you end up with a mouthful of water, which is not a good. It's not a good.
No. It's an absolute Christmas miracle. I've actually finally got one, and I'm going to see if I'm going to be able to connect it up to my car and pump it straight from the ocean into my car, then pump it from my car into the tank. So I'm going to look into that this weekend and see if I can make that work, but that'll be cool.
Of course, because you go because how far are you away from the coast? I'm assuming not far.
About 5-10 minutes,
Wow.
Cool.
It's not bad that then, is it?
That is nice.
I think that is the only time I will probably start doing water changes, Paul. If I live 5 minutes from the coast of Australia, I think that's the only time. That's the only time I definitely do water changes regular for sure.
Yeah. There's just a few comments on canister filters. So, Michael, I didn't realise you run your 300 litre on 2 canister filters. How long's that been running for, Michael? Can't remember, because I know obviously had a tank for a while. Another comment there by Rigsy.
Mike, yeah. I'm going to have to check him out.
The nicest tanks I've seen
He
on
is
YouTube.
local Western Australian Mikey.
Oh, is he?
Mike, yeah.
So he has got an epic, with SBS, a beautiful reef tank. So, yeah.
Yeah, good comment there by Carl around softies liking high nutrients, so it's easy with a canister filter. So canister filters are quite popular in Australia, or we just see obviously yourself and then someone else has mentioned someone else, or is it kind of one of those where people don't tend to run it that often?
No, it's definitely not something that is normal, but it just so happened that a guy that I know up in Perth in Western Australia also has done it, and he's done a YouTube channel as well on it. So, but it's definitely not the norm over here.
Yeah, I don't think it's the norm anywhere. I think it's, as I said, I think it might be frowned upon in a lot of circles, and people are saying either you have an all-in-one smaller tank, or you have a sump, and it could be people drive that way, because if you've got a canister filter compared to having a sump with the return pump, and you've got your skimmer and all your other kit, that I suspect is going to be a lot more expensive than a canister filter, and maybe less maintenance as well. Yeah.
Does it all, doesn't it? You know, canister filter does it all. That's what it's for. You know, that's what they're based on, isn't it? It's what they're based on. The pump's in it. It's got all the filtration runs through it. It basically does itself, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It takes out any, detritus and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's why you got the sponge.
As long as you keep on top of them. Yeah, you got the sponge, As long as you keep on top of them. I mean, it would be, like I said, I was going to do it, and then I changed my mind because people were, like you hear so many people saying different things. So then and then in the end, I looked at the tank, the 170, and that had a sump in it anyway in the end. So I went with that. But I'd definitely give it a go for sure. 100%. I'd give one a go.
There we go. So Michael Butler said I saw Lauren's tank and gave it a go. So it's a bit of inspiration now.
Right.
And there's a question from Ian, and I'll go back up and cover some other points in a minute. How are your outside ponds doing? So do you want to kind of just say what you've got? Because not everyone may be aware of how many tanks you actually have.
So outside
ponds and things,
So outside, I've got a little pot pond that I've got guppies in, and they're doing really well. And I recently just got my dream fish, one of my dream fish, which is koi. So I've got 5 little baby koi out in the front pond, and they're all doing really, really well. So and I'm working on the upgrade for the koi fish, because I've just got them in a small pond at the moment. I mean, they're still tiny, but I know long term it's definitely not going to be suitable. So in the next few months, I'm going to have a nice big upgrade for them. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be good. So
I'm just going to say, you're going to dig a bigger hole and get a bigger pond, basically.
That's it. Well, I'm going to see if I can do round one. So
what would it be in? Would it be in one of a line-up pond, or do you get the plastic ones which are already molded? Because we could get the mold. They're already prefabricated, pre-made, aren't they? And you just dig the hole and then just rest it in it. Which I've seen loads of people. Because I've always said, I mean, mine's only like the equivalent of a yard. Ours is a yard, so I don't know what it's called in Australia, but it's basically it's not very big. So I always said if I moved into a bigger house with a big garden, I'd love to have a koi pond. 100%. I'd love to have a koi pond. They just look fantastic. But I'd definitely get one where it's already pre-made, the actual case, and you just rest it into the ground, which is a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot cheaper. Because a friend of mine, they dug a big hole, and it's their son. He actually breeds them. I'm not too sure if he breeds them now, but he did breed them, and it went down a good 6, 7, 8 foot. So obviously, got to get rid of all that, and then you've got to line it, and then and it went above ground as well. And he was really into it for quite a while. But the ones he grew out, the price they fetch, they're not cheap and they've got certain markings on them. I don't know much about it, but I know they're not cheap, and they can be some of them are quite rare depending on the species. I think
there's there's a guy over here called Quality Nishigoi. He's called Quality
yeah.
Nishigoi. Just check him out. Yeah, on YouTube. He's free, and he goes to China. He goes to Japan all the time. Every year he goes to Japan all the time, and he knows these, like, basically the equivalent of like these, you know, holy grail of fish. And one of them, which from this specific Japanese fish farm, he actually grew one, and it sold for $1 million for a cord, $1 million. Jeez. I was like, holy, because it was certain colors, you know, the way it was, and it was just like insane.
That's nuts.
But he's got that. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, mate. Yeah, nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to Japan and all those beautiful gardens.
It seems to be the home, doesn't it, of where...
Well, they have them in ponds, don't they? You know, like in finger ponds in the hills. They have them in like mud ponds. They are. It's crazy. I was like, they're not like clean water. They're actually in the mud pond to make them grow bigger, and then they bring them in the winter to put them in to house them in indoors. You know what I mean? But the majority of the time, they're in like these mud ponds all the time. It's crazy. It's fascinating to watch. It definitely is, for sure. It's a bit different compared to marine tanks, anyway. You know what I mean? Something a bit different.
Yeah, so I don't know if koi. I mean, I know very little about koi, so I don't know if it's easier than marine. I don't know if you put the koi in an outside pond. It's quite deep to protect them. You put on a filter. Is that it? Is it as simple as that? I don't know. I mean, really naive.
Similar, yeah. And they hibernate as well. They hibernate. That's why, you know, the depth of it. The deeper you go, they hibernate at the bottom. So when it freezes over the water, they don't actually need to come up for air. Supposedly, I don't know if that's true, but they can just hibernate, you know, during the winter.
Yeah,
that's right. The deeper. So it's it is. I've looked into it, but for when I win the national lottery and I'm moving to a big house.
There's a comment there around koi keeping his level above marine, major cash involved. I suppose to set it up and then you got the price. Unless you're really patient, you buy really small koi and then you grow out. But I imagine that takes years. So just going back up, you've got Lee's Reef, first dual 452 filters. And then you've got there again around Biomasters, game changer, pre-filters, so much easier. Changing 2 or 3 times a week takes 2 minutes. That sounds pretty good. Run a canister filter on a cube. Just need to clean the filters more. And that again. And then we come on to this. I've had a couple of comments. I'll come back to this. The XR30. What's interested on this? When they first come out, there was loads of posts. And I don't know if you've seen them, Lauren, in forums and wherever in Australia. Loads of people absolutely caning them bringing them out. I know we put a comments on here when we spoke about it, but now the comments I'm seeing now, there's a lot more positive comments around them than there were when they first come out. So, Steve, is it 2 weeks in there?
2 weeks in, mate. Yeah, 2 weeks in.
So
and I've actually took photos of my corals when I had the others on, just before I put them on. And I took her in. And I'm not lying, I will post them up on social media and you'll be able to see, that it's all new white tips of the growth of it. Yeah. Now, I don't know whether that's just coincidence or what, but it just seems very strange to me. For me, I can honestly say they're just absolutely incredible. They're incredible, but I'm running them at like 30%. That's the power, and that's giving me the power readings of what I was originally setting them at. So they're nowhere near. I mean, really, if you look into it, one of them could light a 4-foot tank, and that's because of the distribution.
Oh, really?
Spread, you see. Wow. You stick it, you stick one XR30 in the middle of a 4-foot tank, and because the actual the diffuser, the shape of it, it's directed at 126 degrees, which means that it spreads more, over the tank, One can theoretically light up a 4-foot tank. That's how crazy the power of him is. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, you're not going to get one to just put on a 4-foot tank because, obviously, especially if you're having SPS and stuff like that, you'll need a little bit more. But before I've done a video and I'm going to upload it, a comparison with my Radion, one of them up, and then I had one with me Hydro on the other side just before I put the other one up. And you'll just have to see it to believe it. It's just night and day. And the Radion was running at 30%, and the Hydro was running at 75%, which was running on its schedule. And you'll just see the difference anyway. You'll know anyway the moment you see the video. But it was just, it's just mind blowing. And the colours, it's just different. It's a weird, different colour to it. You know what I mean? I know it's a blue, but it's just a weird, different colour. You know, spectrum. I don't know whether it's something to do with the spectrum of it or what. I'm not 100% sure, to be fair. But I mean, what can I say? I mean, if you look at my old ones were the equivalent, like they were 3.5, 4 years old. So it's older technology. Look how everything's evolving. You know what I mean? Tanks are evolving, skimmers are evolving, pumps are evolving, lights are evolving. So mine is like the equivalent of an old hatchback in it car. You know what I mean? Compared to like a newer Mercedes or something. So. You know, it's quality, and I can only say good things so far. But I think you've got to give them 3-6 months, haven't you? You know, to see the real benefits. Do you know what I mean? So
I think it's like anything.
Give it 6 months.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things. First of all, there's a question there about par. So what par are you running? And I'm assuming you're keeping it at the par that you are at, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, on my last video, I said that where my Stylopoda and my Ceratopia was, the main ones on the top, it was getting around 550, 600 par up there. Stupid numbers, you know, up there, crazy numbers. And yet they love it because they're just used to it, aren't they now? You know what I mean? They adapted themselves to it. Whereas where the majority of my SPS are, on the left-hand side of the tank, they was getting around about 380 to about 420, that average in that range all across the board on there. So I've set these ones up now at 380. I've set it at 380 on here, at 70% intensity. So it's not 100% intensity, because what you do with these radions, they're a little bit different to hydras, is you can set like the color, like the percentage of it, but then you can also set the intensity of it as well. Do you know what I mean? So you don't need to have it as like powerful. So whereas when I was running it, if I put it at 100% intensity, it shot the par up to about 500, where those others were. So it was just way too much. So I've had it at 70% intensity. But like you know over the things, and it's giving me the good reading. So it's reading, like I said, about 380 to 390 is roughly ish over there. So it's a little bit lower than what they used to, but they seem to be doing good. So I can't really complain. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, it'll only tell in like 3 to 6 months when the true test of it. You know what I mean?
I agree, because people say about, if you're putting new lights on, you're almost like resetting the clock on SPS, and they have to adjust again. But the fact they've got white tips is a good sign, because either they base out or they get white tips, don't they? Remember when I got my first SPS, and all of a sudden it's got white tips, and you're thinking, "Oh my god, is it dying?" And then you look it up and you realise, "Oh no, it's a good thing, isn't it?" That. So
all the actual white tips is death. Do you know what I mean? Because it's too powerful. So I don't know, mate. You know what I mean? So it could be both ends of the spectrums, could it? You know what I mean? So, but I mean, like I said, over time, I've took before and after photos, so I'm going to be able to judge on whether it is growing or whether something's dying or whether it's not looking as good. You know what I mean? So it's, I mean, the good thing with like YouTube and what we do with taking photos and it's like a diary. So it's like you can look back on things. You can go back and go, 6 months ago, what did it look like? Oh, it looked like, right now it looks like this. And you just, because we can't remember what it looked like if we didn't take photos, or we didn't take, video. So it is a good diary. So like I said, hopefully in 3 to 6 months time, I think 3 months would be pretty decent, because you should, your SPS should be getting used to new lighting by then, I would have thought. And then 6 months is you should definitely see a lot more growth. You should definitely see maybe a little bit better colour and stuff. I know colour comes under like your nutrients and what your additives, what you add to the system and stuff like that. So, but I mean, I don't. A lot of corals take it from the light, the source from the light. So, like I said, we'll see. 6 months, fingers crossed. But I reckon say till Christmas time, give or take. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it should be okay. And I shouldn't have any deaths, but we shall see.
So with you said it at 30%. Is it going to go up higher than that, or are you going to leave it at 30% and see how it goes? Or is it an acclimation where it'll go 30, 32, 34?
Acclimation. I've got it set on acclimation. So a lot of people say set him on acclimation for like 14 days and all that. Well, I haven't done that. I've set it short. A longer time. So I set it, believe it or not, I set it up like over a month. So I put it on 30 days, and then I'm going to look back and I'll see what it's like, and over time, over the 30 days, and then we'll see. So we're 14 days into it, and the corals, like I said, seem to be adjusted to it. They don't seem to have died, touch wood. So fingers crossed, another 2 weeks. That's taking it up to 28 days. So we should be coming up to the end of it then, and then it should be adjusted. So, but like I said, we've just got to see with them. But for me, so far, it's a 10 out of 10. I know people were going on about saying, "Oh, but why are they bringing them out? They've not done any changes considering to the XR to the 5 generation 5 and stuff like that." But what they're saying is they're not saying, "Listen, you need to go out and buy a whole new system." We've done packs that you can actually upgrade your Gen 5 to a Gen 6, and it'll cost you like 300 quid, 250 quid. Whatever it is. I'm not sure, but I think it's about £300, isn't it, over there? So
I've heard about 350. I haven't seen.
Yeah. So right. So you're basically getting the whole package of an XR6 of a Generation 6 for 350 quid if you've already got the Gen 5. You know what I mean? Which I think is a pretty decent deal. In theory, if you want that. I mean, I've seen Generation 5s. Don't get me wrong, and there doesn't seem to be any problems with them, but. I mean, us as reef keepers, we want the best out there for our corals and our tanks. That's what we want. We want the best out there. Well, I do. I think, I spent all that money on my coral. I spent all that thousands of pounds on coral, and I'm scrimping out on light that basically makes it grow. You know what I mean? So, in theory, you've got to weigh up the pros and the cons, I suppose. You know what I mean? But I mean, like I said, so far, touch wood. Everything's all good, but we'll see. We'll see in the next 6 months or so how it's going.
So do you know anyone who's got the Gen 6s, Lauren?
I probably do.
Or have you seen much? I'm assuming they're out in Australia because I thought they would probably launch them worldwide because whereas companies used to do them in the States and then drip feed across, I think things like Ecotech put it across their major countries all at the same time, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I don't know of anyone personally, but I'm sure there's some of the Aussie YouTubers that do. But yeah, I can't think off the top of my head of anyone. But yeah, I know they're definitely popular over here as well.
Yeah, well, Ecotech is well known for its lights, isn't it? I mean, I've got Gen 3s there, and I've got 4s in the garage, and those 3s still grow SPS. Really well. Although you can't compare the 3s with the 6s. It depends on what you want. Right. I'm just going to go. Yeah, go on. I'm just going to comments.
Sorry. We have a lot of things like people because I had a couple of guys message me saying, and they're 100% correct in what they're saying. Yeah, is like saying, but I can grow. Why get the radions when I use the Red Sea, the Red Sea lights, and what was wrong with your hydras and stuff? Listen. Absolutely nothing wrong with these lights whatsoever. I've never said there is anything wrong. The hydras, there was absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever. But I mean, when you get to a point, like I said, it's 3.5, 4 years old. I'm not saying they're going to break, no, but I wanted to just upgrade, and I wanted to have 2 lights as opposed to having 4 because that's what I had on my tank. Do you know what I mean? And some people just can't understand. Why are you changing them? Why are you doing this? Listen, if I screw up, it's going to be it's going to be on me, innit? You know what I mean? So fingers crossed, it all turns out well with them. But like I said, only time will tell with them. But so far, so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're just going to have a change on there. We've got some economical reefer there. I find that detritus cause a lot of issues in a salt tank. pH, nutrients, yellow water, etc.
Yellow water, get some carbon in it. If you run carbon with yellow water, the carbon will take that out within a day or two. You won't see a yellow water, my friend. Detritus, everybody's got detritus. You want to see my detritus in that way? I don't. In fact, if any of you guys know how to get it out of the way, detritus. For the love of money, please tell me because I just cannot get it. The weird on the Red Sea Blairport, detritus is. I mean, because I don't switch my pumps off when I feed the food. When I feed the food to the fish, I just leave them running. So obviously, over time, I've been running my tank for 3.5 years. So over time, little tiny bits of fish food has got down, and it breaks down and stuff like that. but it's tons. It must be about an inch deep in that way, and I can't get to it. I'll only look because I looked at when I was changing the lights. I had my step ladders over my tank and I'm putting it on and I'm like, oh God, don't fall. And then I shine the light in it and you want to see it. It was like, wow, how the hell do we get out of
suction it out? Just get a long pipe and then you could suction it out.
Yeah.
Obviously put a pump on it rather than sucking detritus
put
out.
a pump in it. Which pump?
No, at this end. So you're taking it out, aren't you?
Oh.
So your end goes in there, your pump goes in your... Oh, no, you wouldn't do that. Well, that'd be the wrong way,
you couldn't.
Sorry,
you wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh, I tell you what you get the wet dry vacuum from Screwfix or Wix, stick the nozzle in and it'll take it out. Because we said Jay shouldn't use it on his tank because it'll wipe his water out on his tank.
Oh yeah, take out all his water.
So you can do that. I mean, it's super powerful. So
it's a bit of an expensive thing, isn't it, to do for just taking the water out of your sump. How much on it?
You asked the question. How do you take it out? Steve, right?
I thought you was going to do like a DIY project, not go and send me buying like pumps and hoovers and everything out. You know what I mean?
So they're about 50 quid, and you can use it to clean your sump. Oh, Steve, you just spent over $1,000 on lights, and you're talking about 50 quid on a bloody hoover.
Yeah, that's why I'm going like that now because I can't afford any.
You ain't got the money for it. You had to sell the ironing board and the hoover.
Yeah, that's what I mean, mate. You know what? I'm actually ironing my clothes now on this bloody table because I've not got an ironing board. Yeah, times are hard now, mate. Times are hard, and electric prices have gone up. You noticed that?
So you're back on beans on toast for a few weeks to pay for the.
Mate, we're on beans on toast for the next year, mate. I think it's going to be for the next year. Yeah, absolutely.
I must admit, I've got detritus in the sump, and you get detritus in there. I don't see it too much in any of the tank in the actual display itself.
No.
Has it caused problems for me? Not that I've noticed. I must admit. I mean, I only clean out the sump here. I must have cleaned it about once a year. And I haven't an issue with. I've got an issue with nutrients now, but that's because I'm ripping the tank down, and I've only got about 10% of the corals I have. But that's a different issue. I never found detritus having that much of an adverse effect on the tank side run.
No,
I haven't noticed that. What about you, Lauren?
What's that? Sorry.
About detritus in tanks. Have you noticed that cause any issues for you in terms of nutrients or yellow water or pH or anything like that?
I haven't with my 6-foot tank that on the canister filters. I've found the same with my water box though. It just builds up in the sump and stuff like that. But I think it's still fairly new compared to your sort of systems though. So maybe in a year's time, but it hasn't been that much of an issue in the water box just yet. Yeah.
I've certainly had stories about it breaking down and it can cause problems. I just haven't experienced that. Before. Maybe I got the bioload just right, and I'm doing a nutrient export as well as that going. So even if it's breaking down, I'm still putting out the crud, and so the nutrients have been all right. Maybe I've been lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, with the 6-foot, I've because everyone says they're nitrate factories, canister filters, but my nitrates sit around 10 on the 6-foot, which isn't too bad. So and I've got mainly softies and stuff like that, but I haven't had any issues with nitrate spikes or anything like that ever on that tank. So, yeah. I don't know if that's because I maintain it or I don't know.
Well, that absolutely. I think Steve, you said earlier on that if you clean them out, then you're not going to have that issue. It's a bit like filter socks, isn't it? If you clean them out regular basis, you're taking out. If not, they just overflow. Your nutrients goes and all the bits and pieces go into your sump. In which case, there's pointless having them. So you can't get around from the fact you have to maintain it to a level to expect nutrients to be kept in check. Right, let's just go through a few more comments there. I have a holding tank, no canister, only runs on a heater pump. Bubbler, 3 fish for a year. Yeah, I've seen more and more YouTube videos about people not having sumps, not having skimmers, just relying on water changes. I've got to say that most of them are smaller tanks, so they seem to be in the under 100 litre, but it seems to be more and more common on nanos not to have the kind of the nutrient export, and people just have some filter floss and things like that just to polish the water and take the stuff out, and that's about it. Right, let's just go down to see what else we've got. So I don't know if this is an issue. Look, this is an issue that lasts for us about 2 or 3 weeks at a time in the UK. And as soon as we get some hot weather, the hot bottles come out. Sorry, the bottles of ice come in, and we all have a complete meltdown when it gets to about 28, 29.
How
but
hot?
you guys,
okay. I was going to say, how hot is hot? But you guys. Yeah, so 28.
It's all relative. So why don't, before we go through some of the comments here, why don't you tell us what's hot there? And actually, do you have aircon? How do you deal with it?
Hot over here would be like a 38-degree day.
that would kill our tanks, wouldn't it? That would be
the majority of the British tanks would completely closed down for sure, 100%. If it was 38 degrees over here, in fact, I think the whole economy would shut down if it was 38 degrees, let alone fish tanks over in this country.
Well, it would. The pavements would be melting. The trains would run because the rails would kind of get out of shape because it's too hot. And
bus drivers definitely won't be driving because we don't have aircon in our cabs, so we're not driving on 38 degrees, mate. I tell you, no chance.
Nah.
Wow. Yeah, Lauren, for your own information, it's only been about 26 degrees, believe it or not, over there, and people are struggling. That's what, 26 degrees. So it just goes to show it's not very hot, but it's hot for here.
It is relative though. I'll give you that. It's
If our temperature got like that, then we'd all have to invest in AC, wouldn't we? We'd have to have air conditioning. But as we get it really hot for about 2 or 3 weeks a year, we'll moan it and put up with it, have our windows open, and then it cools down, and it's gone for another year, kind of thing. Occasionally extends beyond that, but not very often. Right. So let's come more. Go on, stay.
I mean, obviously, in hot places like yourself, where Laura's from, and stuff like America, places like that, they've got the majority of them surely have to have like what they called what are they called now?
What aircon?
What goes under the tanks? The fans? No, the fans that go under. Oh, what are they called?
Coolers.
The coolers, the coolers that go in your sump. They go in your sump, don't they?
Chillers. You mean a chiller?
The chillers. Chillers. I'm sure that to God, the majority of people have to have chillers in the sumps. They've got to, because you couldn't rely on aircon. You know what I mean? Just to cool it down. I think that'd be impossible.
Yeah.
Does anyone run chillers over in the UK? That's probably not a thing.
No,
I know
chillers.
some people that
the only chiller we've got is our fridge with my wine and my beer in it. That's the only chiller I've got.
I would say not many.
Yeah, we won't have that problem. Yeah, we won't have that problem. I won't have thought. But global warming's carrying on. We'll probably all need it at some point in our time. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's, we'll see.
A couple more comments. So, Reef King, Carl, I didn't know you had another YouTube channel. So if you let me know what it is, I'll have a look. But I didn't think you had a channel anymore.
Yeah, so, I checked it out. I seen it the other day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he put it up. Yeah, it's good video actually. Definitely goes really into it. He's got the 15, the XR 15 blue.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, the Pro. He got the Pro. He didn't have the blue. He got the Pro one because obviously they're different, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Is that just really the lenses? You'd have less blue lenses on the Pro and maybe more white, so therefore you just got not a better balance, but you just got a more of a mix in terms of the lens. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's like Carl said in his video. He said like he likes to see more white, which a lot of people, a lot of reefers do like to see more white. I like to see the white on this tank. Well, I think you get to see the fish better because that yellow tang that you can see there. If that was blue, you would not see the yellow tang anywhere near as much. And so I prefer white, I must admit. And then it goes down to blue, so you get the best of both worlds. I just think you can see the tank better. The two tanks in the garage are slightly more blue. They're not deep blues like some people think their tank. It's just not for me. See, whereas I'm the opposite. I love a blue spectrum. I do prefer blue. And I think blue, but I mean, mainly I think because I'm running out of fish, to be truthful. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I have a lot of corals and stuff. So, and especially SBS, and the corals just look like night and day. You know, with the blue, they just look they just look a lot better in my opinion. You know, on the blue rather than as opposed to white. So that was the only reason I went with blues was just because of that. You know what I mean? No other reason. Could have gone with a pro and things, but I think it's like 30 in the blue. You get 32 of each, so you get 32 of the blue, and is it the royal blue and the normal blue? So whereas in the others, I think it's halved. I think in the pro, I'm sure it's halved. I'm sure you only get like 16, I believe, in each. So but you get more like warm whites and more whites, you know, in them. So, but like I said, it's each to their own, isn't it? Some people prefer blue, some people prefer a mixture, some people prefer complete white. You know what I mean? So. It's entirely down to the individual, I think, anyway. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. Right, I'm just going to go back up because I'm way behind as usual on comments.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm miles and miles behind. So, right, let's just see if we can zip through some of them. When are you guys jumping on the Kalkwasser? I must admit, I'm not. I would only go back onto not back. I would go Kalkwasser if I went for another big tank where I had to dose a lot. That was at the top end. I was dosing alk of 250 mil a day. I think if that had gone any higher, I probably would have gone to Kalkwasser. But on the 280 tank and the 170, I don't need Kalkwasser. I think one day I would try it. I know quite a few more people have. But have you tried Kalkwasser before, Stay? I can't remember.
No. It's one thing I've looked into, to be truthful. I would looked into it, preferring it, thinking to myself, should I go into that rather than getting a calcium reactor? I've spoke on the channel and I spoke on the live streams about getting a calcium reactor.
Yeah.
In the not too distant future, maybe the beginning of next year and stuff. But I mean, the only thing that matters with calcium reactors is not setting up of it, because I know how they run and I know what the whole thing is all about. I know how to do that. That's not an issue. It's the dialing in part. And with my job, I can't be here all the time. So if I'm not here, I cannot rely on my missus to do it, because it would probably be game over. In fact, no, it won't probably. It will be game over for my tank. So it's one of those ones where you've got to probably have 2 or 3 weeks off work to get it dialed in perfect, into your tank, to be there, meticulous and be on it. And that's the whole thing. Whereas with Kalkwasser, you don't really need to do that. You know what I mean? You could just set it and then see how it goes over time. You know what I mean? So I did look at getting. I looked on the on Chartered House Aquatics, and they had a Kalkwasser stirrer. Deltec, I think it was the Deltec one.
They're not cheap though, are they? They're really expensive.
It was about 389 quid, I think, 400 quid for it.
Yeah.
Just to stir in a bit of Kalkwasser, you know what I mean? But it's a lot cheaper than a calcium reactor. Setting up all one of them, I was looking at like 1,400 quid for the whole.
It depends on what one you got, because you've got ones where you have a lot of controllability on it. With the amount of corals you got, you want to invest in
that's what I want.
But what you could do with the calcium reactor, you can do it on the drip, so you don't do it by the pH. You do it almost like. So I run mine as if it was a doser. So I set it up with a drip in X, and at least and I used a pump. I didn't use a tap, because with a tap you get an inconsistent drip. So if you use a pump, a 24.
You'd have to use a parallelistic, a camo or something, parallelistic.
And then just treat it like that. And as long as that's going, then you will dose a certain amount, and you shouldn't overdose. I started really, really low, and then I just dialed it up a little bit each time, and I just done it by how quick the pump was going. So you could do it that way, and as long as nothing goes wrong with that thing itself, you're all right.
No, I mean, that's what I was gonna do. I've got the Kamoa pump here. I bought it on a whim. I was out and I just bought it. The parallelistic pump. I was there like, how much that? 289 quid. Right, I'll have it. And I bought it.
What was that? A Kamoa? I've got a Kamoa one. They're really good.
You know the Kamoa, the one that's supposed to run 24 hours a day. And all that.
I used to have it, and they're such a machine. They just go and they just run and run and run. Oh, they're excellent. They're brilliant.
My doser, I've said it. My Dawson, I've said before, my Dawson in there, all right, it's big and bulky, but it's the Kamoa X4, and it's huge. It's compared to the ones now, it's like It's like an iPhone 2, you know, like an iPhone 2 where it was like a brick. Yeah, that's it's like that, isn't it? Yeah, it's a huge thing compared to what we have now. You know what I mean? But I can honestly say I've had it up and running 3.5, 4 years. That dosing, and I've only actually calibrated it 4 times. Yeah, in the whole year and in the whole 3.5 years. And I went a few months ago it was, and I checked it just to see, and I put it up 10 mil. Next minute, you know, bump, bump, bump. And it was exactly 10 mil what it dosed. It's like never missed a beat. It's just perfect. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cracking pumps. Steve, get calcium
There's
reactor.
a couple of comments about calcium reactor.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I am contemplating it, but like I said, I was also contemplating, like I said, the Calquas and stuff, because it does seem the easier. What's that? It does seem the easier route, a paralytic pump for treatment.
He's got a special pump, haven't you, Steve?
Yeah. At least we know it'll work.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So Lauren, a question now is going to come to you on this. So what do you dose into your tanks, and would you consider, I suppose, Calquas or a calcium reactor? Obviously, the tank has to be the right number of corals in it to justify that. So what do you dose, if anything?
So on the 6 foot, I don't dose anything. I'm just doing my water changes. But then again, I've got very basic sort of corals in there. And yeah, so that sort of sorts itself. I've got the Kamoa X5 on the water box, which is, an awesome doser. At the moment, I'm using it to dose RODI, which I haven't found there to be too many issues with doing that. It stays fairly, pretty much stable. I don't think I've actually had to adjust it at all since setting it up. I know it's not the most ideal.
I was going to say, why have you gone for a doser and not an auto top off?
Purely because the one that I wanted to get was out of stock at my LFS, and I've just around to it. So it's just not happened yet. So I do need to get around to it.
So you will get it once you're back in stock. Yeah. Because I must admit, I run my first tank for 12 months, and I usually just pour a bucket of water into the back chamber, and I didn't have an auto top of it. And as soon as I got that one, I mean that's got a filter fed one on there. And now I'm just thinking, what was I doing for the first 12 months? How did that tank survive? And I had some corals growing really well. And it's 135 litres, and I was topping up with 8 or 10 litres in one go. So God knows what I was doing with my salinity. And I think now I just go like, you haven't got a clue, which clearly I didn't. But it's the number one thing to get is to have that as, other than a heater, you would say, a return pump. But do you know what I mean? In terms of that would be one of your core things
for sure.
To get. I'm just going to go for a couple more on the calc stirrers, and then I've got to go back up to the top there. So don't get a calc stirrer, just get a big vat or run slurry.
Yeah, vat, right, yes. Let's see. Yeah.
That's
a few people have done
that. What do you say you're running? Did you say a commode?
A Kamoa X4 it is.
A Kamoa commode. God, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
A Kamoa X4. One of the best, definitely Kamoa. Lauren will definitely vouch for it. One of the best pumps you can get. They are one of the best pumps you can get, for sure.
Yeah.
Really, really
right.
good pumps.
I'm going to go back up. Tony, I'm going to come back to your comment in a minute, because I've missed loads out, and I'm just going to see if I can get through to them, because there's loads of questions coming thick and fast, and I'm doing a crap job at the moment. Now, come back to Neil. So Neil, I'm really sorry. So he's had, I've had half a tank crash this week, lost all my SPS. So I'd like to learn more. I don't know if there's more comments as we're going along. So see if there are some there. So I had 3 XR15s G5 blue. So Neil, we'll come back to you in a minute. Or if you want to put some in the comments and I'll get to them, I'll look out for it. Where's Ross tonight? So Ross is not with us for a few weeks. He's just got a few things. He's finding himself. He's physically fit, that kind of thing. He's got to sort out a few things. And if you've just recently joined, Jay is at Ed Sheeran, so he's blown us out to tonight. But I think he's back next week if we let him. I'm not too sure what will happen there. Right, let's just keep coming down. There you go. Just get a hose and siphon in the weir. That's going back about 20 minutes ago.
We'll probably do it that way. Paul's way was 2 days.
Yeah, if someone's put the further wrong, right, that the Hoover is £40. Now that might be pre-COVID, so in which case it is 60 quid. I'm not even going there.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going on to turkey basters because that's we've put turkey basters to bed. But you could stir it up and then it'll go into your claricy, Steve. You could do that.
But you know what? Good point. Good point. That. Yeah, fair play.
There we go. Look, send someone else. Wet dry vacuum.
Hey. You know what? It might actually be worth the 40 quid or 60 quid to buy it for that. If I could get that anemone out, it's just an absolute nightmare. It's wedged its foot right underneath the rock, right? It must have curled its foot, underneath underneath the ledge of some sort, yeah? And for the love of money, I've tried everything. We're not going to go on turkey bases like Paul just said, but I've tried everything. Turkey bases, hitting it, everything. Sorry if you're not supposed to hit it. Yeah, everything, mate. Try to annoy it, to get away from it, like get dislodge. Just does it. It comes back with vengeance, then, mate. So yeah,
I'm not
it's
surprised.
Massive. Definitely need to get that
not
back
wanted
out.
and unloved.
Yeah, it's not wanted, mate. It's loved, but it's not wanted. That's the difference. It's loved, but it's not wanted.
Have you got an anemone stuck in your weir?
Have I got an anemone stuck in my weir? No, it's in my tank.
Oh, it's in your tank still. Oh.
It's in my tank, but it's right near where all my euphyllias are. Yeah, so I've actually put a rock I've actually put a rock there. Yeah, now like I built another rock. Yeah, thinking to try and block it. Well, what does it decide to do? It decides to like move its foot a little bit more, and it's come over the rock now. So it's like gone higher up in the tank, but still got its foot wedged under. So it's a pain in the bum. It is so, but I can't get it out. I just cannot try everything.
What type of anemone is it? Is it a bubble tip?
A bubble tip, bubble tip, yeah. But it's not a red one. It's a green one. It's a really unusual color. It's like a green and it's a weird color actually. It's like a green and like purpley one. It is, but it just like I said, I've had it for years. I had it in my 170, and it was only a tiny little thing. But over time, it just grew. But it used to like stay in the bottom of the tank, never moved. For like a year and a half, didn't move, and then it's decided, you know what, I want to just come up and move house, and now it's right near where my euphyllias are. So it's like, I just dread when I go to bed that it comes on a wander and then walks all over him. Do you know what I mean? Because it's game over then, isn't it? So this is the only issue I have.
Have you tried ice on it yet?
No, I haven't tried ice. No,
I had a forest fire bubble tip. And when I did my water change, because it was up on the wall at the back of the tank, and I could only water change to where it was, which was like not very, like it was super high up. I only water changed to that level and then had to fill up and then water change again. And I was somewhere that someone suggested putting ice at the foot of it. And it actually worked. I managed to get it off because I tried lots of things as well to try and get it off. But holding ice at its foot.
Near it. Well, I won't be able to hold it near its foot, but I'll be able to hold it as close to see where get it close to the foot. Because, like I said, the foot is right underneath the rocks or the ledge. So it's a bit of an issue. That's the only problem. I just can't get it out of the tank. So, but you know what? We'll just persevere. We'll persevere. I persevered with that fish, and it took me 4.5 weeks, and it eventually came out. So hopefully. Fingers crossed it will come out eventually, but pain in the bum. Anemones love them, don't get me wrong, but they need to be in an anemone only tank, no other corals in it.
So they can't sting anything else.
Tank. So it can't irritate anything. Yeah.
So just moving on, got a question here about dosing. Is it best to dose small doses over the day or larger doses at once? So example, 5 mil. I think it depends on how much you're dosing. So for example, that one, as I say, was dosing 230 in a day. I dosed it from 7:30 in the morning to 11:30 at night. The other tanks, I do like 5-10 mil, and I do those in one go because they're small doses. I don't think that's a detriment. If you've got a large amount to dose, then I would say spread it over the day. But that's me personally. What would you guys do?
I would do lots of little ones, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think the Kamoa you can do up to 28. I think it's 28 times in 24. A day or something like that. 24? Yeah.
24, I'm the same. I do now. I'm up to 311 mil a day of each component.
No wonder you're thinking about a calcium reactor. Gee.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. 311 mils I'm dosing on of each component there. If you don't know, which I think you already do, I'm running the aquaforest stuff. So obviously it's I mean, it's great stuff. Don't get me wrong, love it. It's fantastic, but I'm forever mixing it every like 14 days now, 5 liters, and just mixing it forever and ever. So yeah, it's but I've set mine like I said, for over 24 times, you know, 20 over the whole day. So every hour it doses a little bit of each, you know, over the time. Now some people said don't dose the alkalinity, dose more of it during the day when the lights are on, when they're sucking it in, which, you know what, all right, you should do that.
That's
but
what I did.
When I did do that, I noticed that my KH keeper was reading really high. Then it started to read really high when in the times when I was dosing. So at 12 o'clock when I thought when I upped it, I started, because I tried it and I tested it, and when I raised it, it went from like, it jumped up like 0.5 or 0.56, you know, straight away in one DKH. So it was like, and then it shut down, and it was just a bit too much, you know, thing. Yeah. Whereas now it doesn't even. I think the tank's just stable. It's just steadying itself out now. Yeah. And like I said on that KH keeper, it fluctuates 0.2, 0.02, 0.03. It never ever fluctuates hardly. So it's just got it down there. But like I said, about 13 mil every hour or something like that. 13 mil, 12 mil an hour.
Yeah.
Like that,
the good thing about the doser, you say how much you want to dose over what period of time, and it just divides it up into equal
measures.
Really good. You just say like 13 hours, 200 mil, it splits it so you get an even dose. It's really easy to set up. So it's been the easiest dose to set up that I've used. I used the Kamal ones. I've got a Dosatronic out there. So I suppose that's only 3 ones, but out of the 3, I mean, that's a workhorse. I mean, I've had the original dose I've had for 7 years. I've had to change one of the heads, and I have calibrated it before, and they're fine. So they're quite expensive, and they're like a brick, but they're brilliant. And also, they've been just above the sun, but there's been salt creep and all that, and touch wood. They're still as good as gold. So they're brilliant doses. Those are good, Right, let's have a look at this. So Ian's talking about, does anyone make a zinc checker? I haven't seen anything a zinc checker other than an ICP, which is what you're saying now. I don't know if either of you have heard of a hobbyist kit, test kit for zinc. I haven't heard of one. I don't think so anyway. I haven't seen it. We haven't talked about one before. We talked about iodine, haven't we, and potassium and stuff like that, but I don't think zinc.
No.
I don't know. I don't know if Hannah do it. I don't know if Hannah do a zinc check.
If anyone's going to do it, it'll be Hannah, because they might do
I think Hannah, because Hannah do. I'm sure Hannah might check it doing, because they do everything, don't they? Ammonia, they do the whole lot now. Hannah checkers. So I think they will do
one, but I would look at Hannah. It's a good call because they specialise in that. So just want some comments there. Hi Haley, dirty sump rather than a dirty display. Absolutely. Comment there. Can I say Joe would never look so good? So so question for you, Lauren, and those people who watch your channel, do you have a hairnet, or do you dye your hair? Because Jay does. He's accused of wearing a hairnet on the live stream on a regular occurrence, and also that he's dyeing his hair, and he's actually showed the dye before. You don't have to answer that, by the way, but there. There you go. 40 quid from Screwfix, Steve, so don't be so tight.
I'll probably go and get one this weekend.
Sky Marine, hi guys. I have a small hair algae in my water box 25. Peninsula phosphate is low. So what I've found is if you've got loads of algae in your tank, quite often your nutrients are low because it's sucking up the nutrients and feeding off the nutrients.
False reading.
It is false in as much as the algae is just enjoying all the nutrients you got.
Yeah. The nutrients, see, that's the thing that tricks people up, is when they do testing, and it comes back like, I've got no nutrients in my tank, I've got nothing, because the algae is taking all those nutrients. That's what it's feeding on. It's feeding on that. So it's basically, in effect, it's giving a false reading to what your test results are coming back at. Whereas we're all in, because I was the worst one when I was getting algae in my 170, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah, but it's coming back. I've got 2 ppm of nitrates and I've got no phosphates. What's going on? No, it's wrong. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
And then some people, the local LFS, the guy who I still go to now, he was like saying, listen, a guy who helped me out a hell of a lot while I was setting it up. Listen, it's a false reading. something definitely going wrong in your tank, you know, do it, try this, try that, and eventually I overcome it. But yeah, definitely it's there's got to be some sort of nutrients in it. Try pulling all the algae out, get a scrape as much as you can off, and then test the next day and see what it's like. Because if the algae's not there taking it up, then you might get a better reading. You know what I mean? But it's trial and error, isn't it? You've got to test these things.
Yeah, I don't know how old the tank is, because quite often that first 12 months, I think you're more susceptible to things like hair algae and other stuff like that, because you've got the imbalance. We talked about that quite a bit before. Has your tank's been through an hair algae outbreak before long?
Yeah, definitely, and cyano and stuff like that. But it's interesting, like the types of rocks that you start with. I started with dry rock, the Marco rock on my water box. I think that's affected things. If I'd started off with live rock, it might have been, you know, a bit more smoother sailing. But because I started off with dry rock, having to, you know, build up that, and make it all live and everything. So it's definitely taken a lot longer for the tank to settle. So if I could choose to, you know, do it over, I'd probably start off with live rock or but we'll get there. It'll get nice and established one day. But
a question here, Florida. Out of all the problems you've had in your tanks over your time, which is the worst problem you've had to deal with, and why?
I reckon cyano. That was absolutely painful because I had it in one of my freshwater tanks. I had the green cyano, and then in my water box I had the Baroni cyano at the same time.
Wow.
I was doing water changes on both of them like every day. And total pain in the butt. I reckon that was the worst.
Cyanobacteria. Because cyanobacteria is one of them ones where you think you've got rid of it, as in like you turkey. People say turkey baste as much as you can and suck it out on water changes and stuff like that. You'll go away and your tank will look pristine. Your sand will be white, and then you'll come back the next day and it's like covered in cyano. It just seems to come back from everywhere, and you're like, where the hell has this come from? It's just like the only time you get it is if you dosing something. I had it and I ended up dosing. I forgot, was it the Cyano RX or something like that? I dosed that in not in this one. It was in the 170, and it just seemed to take forever. And I was doing water changes, and I was like, "What?" And I come to the point where I was like, "Don't think I could do this. Don't think I can be bothered doing this all the time." You know what I mean? It was getting me down, getting frustrated with it all. And in the end, and then all of a sudden, as soon as it appeared, it went, and it never came back. And touch wood, I've never had it, and I'm like, "What the heck? Where's that gone?" And it never come back. So it was like so strange, and yet it's so frustrating, that cyanobacteria for sure.
Absolutely. So just on there. So let's go back a little while around the G6. So more white and more white with the pros. Comment there. Just going back to canister filters. Running my 120 on a canister filter. Just got a 300 delivered with something, thinking it's going to be more work. Just waiting for an ATO lid, jump guard, then going to swap everything over. So good luck. I must admit, whilst some maybe more work, you could potentially then keep maybe more difficult corals. Because I think there's a correlation here between, if you've got a canister filter, definitely you can grow corals, but maybe harder with SPS. From what I've seen and you're nodding there, so I don't know if that. Would you think that's the same as well in terms of harder to grow SPS with a canister filter, or red herring?
I don't know. I have seen it done like that. I have seen it done. I don't know if I would definitely limit it to that. I mean, with my 6 foot, I'm just enjoying having the easy to keep corals. I'm not going to bother trying with SBS or anything in there, because that's my easy tank. Like, I just top it up once a week. Like, I don't even heat up the water I put in there. I just chuck it in, you know, like it's super low maintenance, and I want to keep it that way, like, because I just love that. And so I don't know but with the filter socks and everything, I don't know. I find that annoying, having to. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having to clean. I might have to go and get a few spares or whatever, so I can just switch them out. But I find them a pain in the butt. Maybe I need to
They
get.
are. There's a couple of people saying that filter socks are just a pain in the what's. I mean, I've used them on here, and I've just been in the routine of changing them every four days. I've got loads of spare. I sold them up. They go in the washing machine for 3 hours. That cleans them out, and then they're ready to go again. So if you have them, I think you need a few spares. I would say on that, but that's
probably why.
For sure. And I do. And people say, why do you put them in the washing machine? I run it on a long cycle because the long cycle to begin with, there might be some detergent in there, and I do it for 3 hours. And because I must have 12 to 14 filter socks in total.
Oh wow!
And I just save them. It's just over the years I've just acquired them. It just makes life easier. If I had if I had 4, and you're constantly swapping them out, then you're not going to get them clean.
No, I did the same. I had about like yourself 10 or 12. I used to put them in the. I had a bucket here. Used to put bleach in a bucket. Literally bleach, you know, not the one which smells, just normal bleach, not the one with like the flavour, the scented ones, just the normal blue bleach. Stick it in it and soak them like over 24 hours, and then rinse them under the tap, cold water, warm water, and leave it like that. But it just got a pain. And the best, I say it all the time, the best thing I ever invested in was that Clarice. The Clarice is like worth its weight in gold. It's just like no filter changes, no sock changes. Set it and leave it, and that's all it does. You know what I mean? That's what you want.
Yeah. Right, we're back with Tony now. So, Lauren, what is your favourite soft LPS, SPS coral, also favourite fish? So there's about 4 or 5 questions in one then.
All right, favourite soft coral. I'd love to get a weeping willow, soft coral. LPS, I would say, I don't know. I've seen some really nice, this is probably such a boring one, but I always like the really boring corals. I don't know why, but oh my gosh, it's gone. It was there. It's gone. Not hammer. Oh my gosh.
Frog spawn? Duncan?
Yeah, frog spawn. I've seen some really nice big frog spawns. They look really beautiful when they're in a really big colony, and I'd probably say that's one of my favourite. And SBS, I love scrolling Montiflora. I know, see, all the boring ones.
No, but they're lovely. You mean the ones where they start the plating and they start layering stuff like that? Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I think
they just look really good, and also they're fairly cheap. And I know some people really struggle with Monties and plating, and others don't. But when you get it dialed in, they grow so quick. Yeah,
absolutely. And favourite fish, I would say I'd love to get a clown tang one day. I know they're. Yeah, everyone says don't do it, but I don't know, maybe when I get a huge upgrade one day and I've gotten like 75 more tangs and I'll whack it in there like a little tiny one as it's like and hope that it doesn't bully the rest of them. So one day.
Yeah. And then the next question, I don't know if this is possible because it's what now 4 o'clock in the morning, so you definitely can't put the lights up. So I don't know if a quick tour is possible or not because the lights are off and the fish are probably asleep. They're not going to thank you for waking them up in the.
You're gonna be cranky at me.
I
would otherwise, but yeah.
So all for Reef, we've discussed this loads before. All for Reef. So is the All for Reef supplement the magic solution that it's made out to be? Balance one, balance all, not tried yet. So we've talked about this numerous times on here. I've been using All for Reef on the 170, the liquid format, about 10 to 15 mil a day. I'm doing at the moment. Everything is in balance. So it's weird. I haven't found that one's gone way over. I know people like Haley use it and Julie's used it, and I started using it because of the people on the live stream talked about it and said how good it was, and I've got to say it works. I don't know, Lauren, do you have tropic? I suppose you have tropic marine stuff, don't you? You have used All for Reef?
Honestly, I've never used it, so I don't know if I can really have an opinion on it, but I've heard great things about it. But yeah, I guess not using it myself, I can't really give a yep, I'm all for it or not sort of opinion.
Steve, you used it on the frag tank, didn't you?
I used it on the frag tanks, and I say it's definitely a magic solution. It never ever. It was perfect. You know, and I've said it, and we've said it before. I think anything up to a 100-litre tank, 150 litres maybe, that push, that is the only one you need to use, in my opinion. That's the only thing you need to use. It's simple, especially if you're new to the hobby. Simple. You just start on a low dose it, test, dose, and then you'll find that sweet spot of what your tank wants. And I did it in the frag tank, and all the corals just grew. Zoas, double heads, and I didn't do anything. I done a little tiny oxy water change and dosed that stuff, and it was perfect. And I've always said if I ever got a smaller tank, I wouldn't bother about a doser, or maybe I'd buy one single head doser, but I'd use that stuff and I'd put it in a
that's the advantage, isn't it? You only need a one head doser as opposed to three with and quite often you have to then buy four. So from cost point of view, that makes sense.
I think it's brilliant stuff,
And then Tunzi new A2O has pump you can strip down now, so you can run both. Not too sure I fully understand. I know they've got a new Tunzi, but I don't know about stripping down and then you can use both. So sorry, Sorry, techers, you've lost me. Come back on it if you can explain a bit more. I'm just being dumb. I don't run a stirrer, just big 50 litres airtight container, run it 14 hours a day. That must relate to Kalkwasser.
Kalkwasser.
Will be quick time.
I know, He's talking about me eating my anemone.
Right. Okay, sorry.
Sorry, Peter, I was only joking. Come on.
Right, on Penny's drop. Okay. Hi, Pico Tang. Good to see you in the house.
How's it going, Pico? Hey, my Pico tank. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving my Pico tank at this moment in time.
Yeah. Steve,
how's your fox face? It's dead, mate. It's dead. And you know what? I'm going to come on to another sad thing, This fox face, which I posted in my last video, it was a bit of an issue. I was like, I couldn't understand what had gone on. So I checked out all my sump, pulled it apart. I tore the whole sump, pulled everything out, checked it for, must have been 4 hours. I checked everything to make sure there was no rust, anything dodgy in the tank. There was absolutely nothing wrong. So, and I was like, I just, because when something dies in your tank, you're like, what's gone on? What have I done wrong here? Your mind play goes into overdrive. Anyway, I just dismissed it. That it was just obviously it just wasn't meant to be. So obviously, I was still gutted, but we move on. A couple of days later, I comes down. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's eating. I goes to work, and then the next week, my missus phones me and she says, "You're not going to believe this." I went, "What?" And I'm like, "Please don't tell me something else has happened." My yellow Tang had died, and I'm like, "You are kidding me!" And I couldn't believe it. I said, "No, not the yellow Tang." Whereas the yellow Tang was eating perfect, eating everything, no problem whatsoever, But if there's any of you guys who know about your fish out there, I'm not saying I know about everything about fish. My yellow Tang was eating like a Trojan. He was just eating and eating and eating, But he was always losing weight. You could see like he was losing weight for some strange reason, You could see the lateral line, the spine or whatever it is all going up here. And I used to feed that tank tons of nori, tons of seaweed, everything. And he used to be on it all day long, eating and eating and eating. But he never seemed to gain weight. And yet, I don't know whether that's a coincidence that it just died at the same time the foxface did. But I tested my parameters. I've sent an ICP test off now. I bought one, sent it off, so that's away now. So hopefully I should get the results soon. And we'll see whether there's anything going on with the water chemistry in the tank. But all the other fish are doing well. Everything's fine. So I really don't understand this. I don't know if it's just coincidence that those two fish died at the same time, which things can happen. It can happen, but it just seems strange that the two Tangs, the two herbivores, both died. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I really don't know. Was I not feeding them enough? Where in my mind, I know I was feeding them enough. You know what I mean? But my Tang was, like I said, it was a fairly decent size. In fact, it was probably an adult when I bought her. And I've had it for 3.5 years, as long as that tank's been up. Now it's not a long time really, but you know, she might have been 5, 6. Maybe I don't know how long they lived to in captivity, but you know, I it just seems very strange and really don't understand it. So it's absolutely
one of those that's frustrating and really upsetting. You think, what have you done wrong? And not just one, but two. But the thing is, we talked about is don't rip your tank apart, blah blah blah, because it could be a coincidence, and you don't know. All of a sudden, you start doing things, and all of a sudden, the whole chemistry of tank is up in the air, and you start losing things, multiple things, because you're thinking, I've got to do something, but then you wouldn't know what to do. Either. So it's kind of in that situation, do nothing, do an ICP, blah blah blah, and just we said about polyfilter, just in case there's any toxins in there. Polyfilters are really good for those. We never talked about polyfilters before, but I found them really good for taking toxins out of your tank.
Toxins out of your tank.
Just in case. Better than carbon, I think, from what I've seen.
Well, that's exactly what I did, Paul, to be fair. I mean, like I said, I've got the NIOS reactor, which only run the phosphate. I only run the phosphate stuff in it. All the raw phos only when the phosphate's high, but with phosphate seems to be like rock steady at this moment. So so I just basically stack that up with a load of carbon. I put the polyfilter in the back chamber. I put some in the sump where the overflow goes down before it goes.
That's what I used to do. I cut mine in half and put it across it, and then so that the whole of the water goes through it, and then it changes colour, doesn't it?
Exactly what I've done.
And actually, it's pulling things out, and it's working. I've always keep one just in case. I think I've used it I had one in all the years. But it's like certain things you keep just in case of a emergency. When I had multiple tanks, I used to have Polymedic in case I had a nick outbreak. But since I've only got one tank and it's now years old, I don't have that anymore. But it's funny, I had those kind of things on hand in case there was an emergency.
Absolutely, it is true. Like you said, I think with me, like because I'm the worst one for it, saying don't do big changes. Now I didn't do any big changes. I didn't change anything in my tank. I just stripped it to see if there was anything like leaching out or leaking, or like maybe it might be starting rust of some sort or whatever. But I thought to myself, while I'm doing this in my mindset, I know that I'm doing the wrong thing, because I'm thinking, well, if it's rust, the first thing that's going to die is not the fish; it's going to be the coral. The first thing that's going to die is the. So in my mind, I'm like, I know I'm doing the wrong thing here by pulling them out this thing, but you wanted to get down to the bottom of it. And then my Tang died, then I'm like, whoa, we need to get to the bottom of this stuff. But I've not got down to the bottom of it, and all the other fish, all the corals are looking out for coral fish are eating, now wrong with it. So I just think it's maybe just coincidence that they just died at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's just I suppose it's just one of them things, but it is pretty gutting for sure. I was devastated, especially with my yellow tank, because like I said, I've had her for, like I said, 3.5 years, and she's like, in fact, she was. I think I got my Tang, my clownfish, and then I bought a cleaner ass, then I bought a coral beauty, and then I bought her. So it was like, she was like one of the very first individuals in the tank. So it was gutted. I was devastated, but you know what? We move on, and we'll buy something else. We'll buy something different. I think
there's a few comments in here about, was it a thing? Could it be worms?
Well,
there's one comment in there about velvet or what's the other one about flukes? But they wipe out fish really quick.
They wipe out all your tank.
Quite often it go to the rest of your fish as well. I've never touch wood. I've never experienced either, but what you read is they go through your fish really quick in like 48 hours. It can knock out the entire stock that you have.
I mean, this is a good thing. What Carl just said, some fish have flukes. You know what I mean? They can have it for years now. I never knew that. You know what I mean? So obviously, I've learned something new every day. But it never lost colour. It was perfect yellow. It was like bright yellow, no colour. But she was losing weight in a sense that I was feeding all the time. I was feeding her, giving her Nora, near enough every day in that tank. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So on the clip, on the seaweed clip, and she was eating it all the time. So it wasn't like she was starving. Do you know what I mean? None of them were starving. The fox face was eating it all the time. Plus, they were eating mysis. They were eating all the other stuff that I put in the tank. So they were eating. There was no issues with them starving to death. But maybe like it might have had the equivalent of fish cancer or something. Like some, like you know, something like that. You just don't know. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not going to do an autopsy on it because I don't know what I'm looking for. So that's not going to be the key. So at the end of the day, we just don't know. It might have died of old age. It might die of ill health. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things. But it is frustrating when two die at the same time. That was my thing, was when they both died near enough within 2 or 3 days of each other. And then I'm thinking, holy, is all my tank fish going to die here?
Yeah.
But touch wood, everything seems to be doing well. So I think it's just one of those unfortunate situations, I think.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
It certainly is. Right, just a couple more comments. All for Reef about it raises the out but not the pH. I want it the other way around. This is about a NEM. There's a bizarre train of thought that you put a tube over your NEM, it will climb it to get to the light when all else fails. And then someone was saying they've heard that as well, with black tubing. There we go. Don't know.
Never knew that either.
Yeah.
No.
And then there's a comment there by Aquarium trying to wind up John about Paul has given his yellow tang away live on air. You know I won't do that. So that is going to hopefully it's going to go to AAC and they're going to look after it in their coral farm for me, because I could put that tang into a 3-foot tank, but I don't want to do it. It's going to be too small for it and I don't want to stress it out. So if I can catch it, hopefully I can be quicker in its success than you, Steve. That may, if I can catch it, that may go tomorrow. You can see it. Actually, you can see it really well at the moment. So that little beauty will hopefully go to AAC, and then I can start getting rid of the fish. And I'm still, I said I'll get rid of the tank by the end of the month. I'm kind of on track. He says,
no, I don't believe you. I don't believe
that. The tank looks like it's got loads of corals in it. There's not much coral in it. But I'm looking at the picture thinking, I haven't got that much coral, especially on the left-hand side. But so it will be going, hopefully tomorrow, to LFS, who will look after it until I get another big tank. So who knows when that'll be. So we'll see. There we go. Economical reefer. When we test, you're right there about you test, and it's 8 DKH, you leave it alone. If you test something that's 4, you then do a double test. Very right. If you don't like the test, you double test because you think, it must be wrong.
Yeah. True.
So there, why would phosphate continue to rise if I'm not overfeeding? I would need to keep using bright lights to bring it down, but creeps up again. So it could be that you have got detritus and other stuff that's actually breaking down. And that's what's driving the phosphate, that you've got organic material in there, so you're not exporting it quick enough. That could be it. So therefore it's rising. So feeding's part of it, but it could be all your fish poo and other stuff like that that's driving it up. Just a thought. That would be appreciated if you could hit the like button. Thank you. Right, let's go down. I love a filter sock, does Carl. Another one there about detritus. You sick puppy. Is that just general? No, it's about filter socks. Socks have a pain. Right, let's just go down and see what else we've got.
Yeah, it sounds like I need to get like another 10 filter socks at least.
It makes life easy, because then you can just swap it in and out and you haven't got to worry about washing it. And then I don't feel so bad about putting the washing machine on for 3 hours if I know it's full of filter socks. I'm just putting a pair in. I think really that's like a lot. If you do use bleach, as long as it dries out, because my understanding, if you leave that bleach and then it dries, it evaporates and then you're okay. So you haven't got to worry about the bleach content. But I just stick it in the machine. It's a lot easier. Flame Angel. Now, I think they're invert safe. I'm not 100%, but they're definitely not coral safe. But it depends. You might get one that's okay. My understanding is that Flame Angels do like a coral. I don't know if you've had experience of that.
Yeah, my mate has. Yeah, they like a nip of his zoas, and I'm sure he had one, but started nipping his clam as well. If I'm not mistaken, his Flame Angel. Yeah. They do like to nip for sure. This is what anytime you ever see in your fish shops, reef safe with caution. If you've got a reef tank, do not buy it, because trust me, They will get it. It's just a thing to put. Well, hold on a minute. Yeah, but you sold it. Yeah, but it says reef safe with caution. It's just a thing that they put down to sell it, and then they're covered. Then you know what I mean. But yeah, don't. It's just not worth it. No chance.
Yeah. Absolutely. So use nothing but all for reef to dose my tank. So I remember Haley talking about it. It was based on Haley and some of the others that I went on to that. And Acro Power as well. I must admit, I've started dosing reeferoids again in the tank because my nutrients are quite low in my 900. And what I find is your nutrients go up. But boy, do the corals love it. So I always turn off the return pump, turn up the power heads, whack some of that in, and then for about an hour, then I turn the return pump on.
An hour? Wow. I did have mine off for an hour and I did it, mate.
That's probably because I forgot.
No, you heat. Yeah, you'd have forgotten. Yeah. You heat up. You something it.
You'll be fine.
You've all been freezing.
I've had a tank with the power go for 5 or 6 hours. In the middle of winter, I wouldn't do it. I must admit, but
exactly.
In these hot times of 26 degrees, you can.
There's 26 degrees. Yeah, the fish will love you doing that, mate. Yeah.
I find the corals absolutely love reeferoids, and then I know one of Jay's favourites, the 170. I use the Reef.
There's elements.
I use that one.
Amino. Is it amino dose? The amino,
I use that on the other tank. So I've just started doing that because I found the corals are all right, but the LPS weren't as puffy as they should be, and I was thinking the nutrients were not as high. So I thought I'd just stick a couple of combos in, and that seems to work.
Yeah.
All for Reef there. Calcium formate uses bacteria to make the out part. That's how it's 1 part dosing. Good stuff, but gets expensive. Yeah, I mean, I use the liquid, but you can get powder, and that's a lot cheaper.
Mix it yourself.
I'm sure Paul UK Reefer, who's got a 525, I don't know if he still does, because I haven't spoken to him for quite a while. He's been using the liquid, and that's on a 500 litre tank, so that's going to set him some back. There you go. Thanks for thoughts on that, all for Reef. Right, just going to go down a little bit. Oh, there we go. Tunzi New 820, that's so on BRS, now being reworked so you can use it for right.
Oh,
okay. Use it as that right. Okay, I'll have a look at that video. It'll be interesting because I've got a Tunzi 80 auto top off. I think it's brilliant. It's got double center, so it's got the float switch, and it's got a other one, so you've got kind of double bubble in terms of protection on that. So what auto top off was you looking to get, Lauren?
I think the Tunzi one.
Okay.
Tunzi's the best.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with it.
Yeah.
No.
Right,
in fact, I don't think if you actually go on any websites you ever see a failure with that Tunzi website with that Tunzi auto top off. I don't think there ever has been a failure with it.
I haven't seen anything. Yeah.
No. You never get any negative things because I'm running the D&D one, the D&D auto. Yeah. I've never had an issue. I clean the sensor on it. I just get a toothbrush on it and give it a scrub every month, 2 months or so. It takes literally 30 seconds to scrub it, and I stick it back in the tank. And it's never. And you know what? It's always been perfect. You know what I mean? So I've never had the reason to change. But auto top offs are one of the biggest killers in a reef tank. If it's dosing whatever it is, like I've got 25 litres of. Mine's in a 25 litre drum. So you're dosing 25 litres if it's stuck on, for instance, it's not going to do your tank any good for sure. Absolutely. You know what I mean? All at once. Yeah. But I know that those are the Tunzi ones, they've got like 3 or 4 fail safes on it. So it'll only go for a certain amount of time.
2 or 3,
Yeah, it's got a timer, hasn't it, where it'll only start dosing for a certain amount of time. Then it's got the flow sensor, and then it's got the so it's got 3 or 4 redundancies in it. So
really
I forgot about that one. It's got a timer on it as well. So mine's got the one that's got a timer, float switch, and the other one as well.
It's got the laser, the optical eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Lauren, I think that's a good choice holding out for that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Right. So I don't know if this is a serious question. I go, oh my God, I wouldn't even dream of doing this. So anyone use vehicle wax on their exterior display glass look for low maintenance clear glass. And then you can just slide your magnetic, I can't even speak proper teeth, magnetic cleaner, especially you have a rimless tank. Just don't get wax dust in the display. No, I'm such a clumsy reefer. The whole pot would be in the tank, and it would be just like a wipeout. So I don't know if you two have got any comments on that.
Yeah, just don't do it. Don't do it. No. Yeah.
Right. So going to some other comments. I think it was old age.
Yeah, could be, mate. I mean, that's the only conclusion. I know Sky Marine has put just below that one saying, could he have been stung by a nem? It's quite possible, but I mean, I have noticed that like any sort of, but then again, there was no marks on it. So when I took it out the tank, there was no marks on it and stuff. And I mean, the difference with the fox face was the fox face, it looked as if like he couldn't catch his breath. Do you know what I mean? It was like as if it was gasping for air. But the oxygen in the tank, that would affect every fish. It just wouldn't affect one fish, would it? You know what I mean? It would affect them all. So
yeah,
you know that was another thing. And then you mentioned, didn't you, Paul, on our private chats, saying, do you use sprays? You know, was it sprays?
Yeah, aerosols, scented candles,
or scented candles. Listen, my house is lit with scented candles, and it always has been. You know what I mean? It's forever got scented candles in my living room. So it's not that. And as for the air spray and deodorant, no, none of that ever gets sprayed in there. So
Steve, I've never used deodorant, so that's all right.
No. In the living room, mate. In the living room. I know what you mean. No. Yeah. I mean, it could be anything. It's just a guessing game, in it, what it could have been. But like you said, I'm going to probably go with like Reef King and say maybe it's probably just older age for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
To move some comments. So push button Reef. So Barry at AAC, get me a nice Tang. So are you in Romford, push button Reef? Because you can't go that far unless you travel hours to AAC, which I know a few people do. So let us know. And also, what Tang you after? What are you getting? Because they get
it's after your yellow tang when he goes in there.
I think that's going out the back. So that'll be hands off. As John will be sniffing around now, saying, I've come to collect Paul's Tang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John, I did think about it. I thought only about it for about 2 minutes, and I'm thinking I can't put it in a 3-foot tank. My own opinion. I know people do, just not for some me. I had some raspings done by NEMS, yeah, and that is quite funny unless you then go and buy something when it's reef safe with caution. Or some people buy an impulsive buy of a fish and they think, oh my god, you get it home, it looks lovely, you realise it's a monster.
And it's a bit like push buttons picture there. You know, I got sold one of their box fishes, when I was first starting out, saying, they're great to have in a little small tank of 170. Not realizing that they're toxic. If they die, they'll nuke your whole tank out. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Yeah, reef safe and caution. Definitely, that's what they all say.
Yeah. Right, let's have a look. It's great to feed your tank. Also great to up your nutrients to control. To up your nitrates to control your nutrients. Benny Pets. I don't think I've heard of that one. There's so many different supplements out there, isn't there, for feeding corals and everything else. If you go to LFS now, they're just wall to wall with different supplements.
Hey, Lauren, where's your nearest shop, your nearest LFS to your home?
I've got one, like a 5-minute drive. I'm quite rural in Australia, so like down the south coast of Australia. So we've got one like 5 minutes away, but it's one of those chain store kinds of LFSs.
Oh, right.
Oh my gosh, they sell I went there the other day because I had to get some frozen Meister shrimp, and they had coral for sale. And it was 25, 30, and 55. They were all half dead, all of them, and they would 100% sell them if someone went in. Of them, it was like the flesh was coming off. It was completely half dead, and I'm like, terrible. There's some poor person that's going to get into the hobby, go and buy those, and then go, what's gone wrong? And they would 100% charge the $55 for the larger one. So yeah, definitely. I'm about 4.5 hours away drive from the city, Perth in Western Australia. And yeah, I get all of my fish and corals from up there. So it's actually sometimes even cheaper getting it flown down. Like I've had fish flown down and go to the airport. The guy at the airport's like, "Oh, fish lady again."
You're joking. Wow.
Yeah, so it's actually.
God, imagine that, Paul. Get your fish flown down. Hey, what's that about?
I know. I think me and you, we probably live in the fish mecca in the UK, because the northwest is massive in terms of fish, and then I live in Essex, just outside of London, and we're spoiled for choice in terms of the number of LFS. But I've got 3 that I use, AAC being one of them. There's a couple of comments on that, and there's 2 others. So they're absolutely brilliant. So I've got
to pay AAC a visit. I see some of their corals and their tanks and their fish, and I'm like, wow, they are stunning. They do have some, and they look so healthy. You're like, wow, I mean, we have got some up here. Don't get me wrong, where I live, and there's certain shops where. I mean, personally, I would never go into, because it's just one of those ones where they're just in it for the money and not in it for the health of the fish and the coral, which I hate. And I'm not one of these people where I bite my bottom lip. I don't bite my bottom lip. I tell you as it is. And if I don't like something, then I don't like something, and I just say it. You know what I mean? That's just the way I've been brought up. So, but I mean, some people are just in it for the money, and I just think that's wrong. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a business owner. You should be in it, and yet I know my mate who runs the store just around the corner from me, literally 10 minutes around. They're not bothered whether you buy anything or not. You know what I mean? But the corals look fantastic, and they know that they're just going to get sold straight away. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they look after it. They look after the fish. They quarantine the fish. They do everything. You know what I mean? They're like on the ball with it. Yeah. And no expense is spared with anything, with him. Yeah, they're not bothered whether you buy it. They don't force you to buy anything. If you buy it, you see the coral, you're going to buy it because it's just looked after. And you get more sales that way, as opposed to pushing it and, things like that. So, yeah, it's, I suppose it's just what people are like. Some people are just in it for the cash, really, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially now.
But the thing is that it's short term, isn't it? Because if you sell a duff coral, people are going to leave the hobby, in which case then you don't get that money again. They don't come in, or they don't come in again. No. So it's really short-sighted to do that. But maybe I'm being naive, and they have a turnover of new reefers all the time. Yeah. But there's nothing like a returning customer, is there? On anything, not alone. It's just like
what Lauren's just said, exactly the same, isn't it? Like she's the store local to her. That person who bought that coral, they might have only just got in the hobby. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then they take that coral home on the pretense that it's going to live because the store owner said, "Oh yeah, it's all right. Everything's fine." And then it dies, and then that person thinks in his head or her head, "Have I done something wrong? Is it my mistake?" And then they go, "Oh, this is too hard for me," and they're out of the hobby, and that's one person gone. You know what I mean? And that's where people, that's where people just lose it. You know what I mean? It's a shame because people just can't be bothered looking after corals and fish. That's what it boils down to.
Absolutely. So there's a question. So before I ask, I'll come to you, Lauren, and then you, Steve. In terms of cleaning kit, whether it be power heads or return pumps or anything like that, what do you use to clean the equipment?
I have used distilled white vinegar, but I'm going to be using citric acid because I have heard that vinegar is not great long-term on pumps and stuff like that. So, just recently I've learnt that. So I'm going to stop using vinegar and go to the citric acid.
Yeah, there was a problem with Vortex quite a while ago, and quite a lot of people put that down to using vinegar, and it split the seals on it. But so what about you, Steve? What do you use?
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you there. I had the same. I uploaded a video, a year and a half ago, wasn't it? Something like that, I think it was, where my Vortex pump, my MP10, I was using vinegar and it split the seam. So the rust was getting into the tank. It was, obviously I contacted them, and they were aware that these things could happen. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So, but they did say like, "What did you use?" I mean, I'm fair play to them. They sent me out another power head. You know,
really?
the actual the wet. Yeah, they sent me the wet side out and set an advisement, and then I started using. From now on, I was just started to use citric acid. I just have citric acid now.
So the same here. I use it. So John, I'll take a picture and a link because I get mine off of Amazon. So it is food grade that I use, and it's really simple. What I do, I just put the power head under water first. Use a toothbrush to get some of the excess stuff off. Plonk it into a container that's got the citric acid in, and then I probably clean it over like 2 or 3 hours. Take it out, use a toothbrush on it, put it back in. And then it just goes straight back in, and I find it works really, really well. But I just buy a big packet off of Amazon, and I've been using that for quite a while. But I can send you the link.
You sent me that link as well, Paul. You sent it me. I've been buying a little tiny box for.
No, I buy half a kilogram or a kilogram at a time. You can buy more, but it lasts quite a while, I find. So I don't buy a big bag, and also have a habit of knocking it over and it goes all over the floor. So small is best in that side. Question, thank you for that. So so push button, you're in East London, AAC more locals. So ADC, that's advanced. I can't remember that. Is that the one that used to be in Great Portland Street? So you used to have in the centre of the West End off of Oxford Street, there was a fish shop there. It's where I bought my first corals. It was a fantastic store, and then it closed down. Right, let's move on. Right, so Steve, I'll let you answer that, and I've got to sort out the dog because she's now getting bored and she's brought a dog to me, and then everyone else's dogs who's watching the live stream usually start barking and I get blamed. So I'll be back in 30 seconds.
No, I haven't added anything to the tank, Riggs. Nothing whatsoever. And this is like I said before, this is what makes me. You doubt yourself because you do doubt yourself, don't you, Lauren? When if you've added something or if you've figured something out or if you've done something different, because this is what we always say, like, don't do too many changes all at once or don't do something. The only change that I have done was the lighting. Now, the lighting is not going to affect the fish. That's the only thing I've done. I've not added any new coral to the tank. The one thing I did do was take out a piece of rock with that... with the Kenya tree, the big Kenya tree, which was on my last video. That was the only other thing that I've done to the tank change wise. Not added anything. I've just added the normal dosing, what I usually do. So nothing different. And because I thought that is there anything? Could it have been anything parasite? Anything happen like parasites at all? But no, nothing like that. I don't believe, and I just think it's just down to that they just both died, unfortunately, at the same time. You know what I mean? And I think it was just coincidence that they just both died at the same time. Like I said, with the yellow tang, I've had her 3.5 years. She was big when I got her, so maybe she might have been 3 years old. She might have been 2.5, 3 years, whatever. But so she might have been 6 or 7. Which isn't old for the fish. I know that. You know what I mean? But you never know. I don't know what. But hopefully, I'm living with, in my mind, I'm thinking she died of old age because it makes me feel better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I've not done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely gut-wrenching to lose a tang. It's a fish, but yeah.
Especially a tang, like something like that. I mean, little tiny fish. I don't know about you, but if you're a little tiny fish, like a little damsel, which I know we should all be thinking, but little yellow-tailed damsels, they're like the little Ronnie and Reggie Cray, aren't they? They're just like vicious little things, them things, aren't they? Yeah, they are, aren't they? They're like vicious, aren't they? Them things. They're tiny, but they're deadly. Those little. When they die, you're gutted, aren't you? But you're like, I can live with that.
But you've been trying to get out your tank for 2 years and you can't. And it's died, and you're quietly celebrating. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Yeah. All right, then. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but when a yellow tang dies, like something like it's just like. It was one of my dream fish, really. It was like I needed a yellow tang, but when I got it, it was like, she is beautiful. It just swimming about, it was just beautiful, in the tank. And now it's like, holy, and now it just doesn't look the same. The tank just doesn't look the same without a yellow tang in it. Now, am I going to go and buy one? No, not for the prices that they're going for now. £400, no chance. But I mean, over time, we'll see. We will add some more fish because I think the bio load in the tank. I've lost 2 big fish, which is a big bio load. You know, but quite a bit of bio load in the tank. And as you know, tangs. You know what I mean? They're definitely messy fish for sure. So the nutrients in the tank are going to definitely come down. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? I haven't actually tested the tank, which I will do this Sunday, but we'll just have to see. And like I said, the next week or 2, maybe get another fish. Don't know what I'm going to get, but it's not going to be a tang. It might be something different, but we'll see.
Fair enough. So Lauren, have you got tangs in the 6 foot?
Yeah.
I think you have. So what have you got?
I've got a ringtail tangs. That's my big. She's probably about 25 centimeters and chunky, like 25 centimeters both ways. No, she's Wow. That's my biggest one. I bought her pretty much fully grown. And I've got blue tang, powder blue tang, a sailfin tang, bristle tooth tang, and I think that's it.
Wow! See, that's a lot of tangs. Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic. Mix of tangs. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I love tangs.
I've always liked. Yeah. I've always liked tangs. I like the powder blue, but I've always found that they seem to get a lot of. They always seem to get a lot of ick. Powder blue tangs. I always see it on forum, and I'm like, oh. I mean, I don't think I could deal with that. You know, wiping out all your tank. But that's what's always kept me away from it.
Yeah.
Kept me away from them. But,
no, I haven't had any issues with that. I mean, I've got ick in my tank, but I haven't lost any fish to it. So no, but I love tangs. They've just got so much personality. Like they'll follow me around the room. They know when I open the freezer door. Like they know that sound. Just come up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so, they do for sure. Yeah.
They're definitely a show fish, aren't they? If you look at a tank, the tang will stand out. Even if you've got a school of fish and stuff like that, a tang will just go bang. That's why I like the yellow tang in this, because it's quite small, but it's the only tang I've got. And I must admit, I'd only probably get a yellow tang. I wouldn't get anything else, because I used to have a vampire and I had a regal tang. They both got to 7 inches in that tank. And they were just too big for it, and they was getting quite boisterous as well. And I bought one when they was it came with the tank, so it was really small, and I didn't realise, I knew nothing how big they was going to get anything. And they're superb. Fish.
I like the Tamini tangs. You know, the Tamini tangs.
They're quite small, aren't they?
They're fairly small, but they're the similar. They've got a good personality. I see one in the fish shop, and I was like, I really do like that. But obviously, because I had a yellow tang, I thought I'm not going to put it in with that one. But really now, all of my larger fish, they both died, haven't they? You know what I mean? Because really the yellow tang was the biggest fish really that I had. And then the next one down was like the fox face. And really then it's only the clownfish now. The clownfish seem to have chilled out a little bit. They seem to have mellowed down in their old age, the clownfish. They don't really seem to attack as much. So I'm thinking maybe, if I had another tang, it's not going to be a yellow tang. It's going to be something different. Might be a Tamini tang. I do like Tamini tangs, like I said. So it might be something like that. But I'm gonna weigh up my options, I think, and see which way to go, because I'm still gutted with it. Still trying to get my head around it. So we'll figure it out. It out.
It's hard to swallow something like that, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So just a couple more comments. Citric acid all the way. Vinegar is just nasty. Yeah, I agree with that. Another one for citric acid there. Another one now.
Yeah.
It's gonna. I think this is quite important about having a support network of people you talk to. Lauren, have you built up a network, I suppose, either local to you or people around the country that you can speak to and rely on?
Locally, there's, I think we've got a Albany Marine Reefers Facebook page, and there's like 7 people on there. So there's not many people where I am. So I mean, there's a couple of people that, have been super helpful. But I think, I totally agree that it's important. I've got my brother-in-law over in Sydney who's got a reef tank, and so it's, I think it's definitely important to have. It can be so hard, with conflicting advice and everything like that. So it's always good if you've got a few people that are close by. I wish I had more people, to be honest, where I live. Like, it would be nice to have more people that were into reefing, and more people to bounce ideas off, and can come and actually physically see the tanks and stuff like that. Speaking over, messages and stuff like that. But if they can actually physically come and see your tank, I think that's different as well. So it is a shame there's not so many people down here, but I am rural.
And in that sense, has anybody reached out of like what they think's happening with your SPS? Because it wasn't your last video; it was the video before, wasn't it? Where you was having problems with your SPS. Have you come down to the point of what it is, or do you think you know what it is, or has there been any changes?
I feel like the more I do with that tank, the worse it gets. The more effort
you do.
I put in, the worse it gets. And I really think I'm like, maybe I just need to get back to basics. Stick to my it is only a year old as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's only a new tank, isn't it?
Rock. I got a huge amount of feedback from that video, which is pretty much a lot of it conflicting as well. Doing too much, not doing enough, and so I guess as well, being sharing my journey on YouTube, I worry about not doing enough, and I would hate to go, my tank, all my SPS died. No, I wasn't testing. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that. Like, you always want to be like, I tried to do everything in my power.
Proactive.
But then I think I'm doing too much, and I'm, almost micromanaging it.
There's a balance, isn't there? Yeah. So I've got a reefer 170, which is not dissimilar to yours. And that must be now about 18 months old. I only put my first stick in the last few weeks. I was putting Monties in and stuff like that in the first 7, 8, 9 months, and they were spares from over here, so it wasn't cost anything. And they would dry out and they would die. So I just said, right, not doing that. I've now got Monties that they've turned around and they're looking absolutely fantastic. So I've got now purple plating, green plating, about 3 or 4 different kind of other Monties as well. So Monties, touch with a fine. Got my first acro. I think it's an acro. I'm not too sure. That's the first stick. And that one seems to be okay. And that tank now, and it started taking off, funny enough, and we've talked about this, Steve, 11, 12 months, it started turning around. And I'm not doing anything different to that tank that I did in month 3, 6, 9. And I think there's a big, with SPS, I think the tank, personally, the tank needs to settle, and there will come a tipping point where SPS think, okay, I like this tank now. Whereas before I'm paying. That's my view on that. I've seen so many. And people that can throw SPS in and they survive from day one, either you find that magical skills, or they've seeded the tank with other rock or sand,
existing rock.
There's bacteria in there.
I was one of them in a sense, because when I transferred from my 170 to my 350, I obviously transferred every bit of water I had. Obviously, I put all new sand in, but I transferred every rock out of my 170 into my 350. Then I added more rock, but I also, in the meantime, I'd already seeded bio blocks. I'd already seeded bio balls in my tank, in my 170 tank. So I knew that when I was transferring over onto my 350, there's going to be enough biological media and stuff in the tank, to seed that tank straight from the get-go, really. You know what I mean? And then I think I had it running about 5, 6 months, and then I added just a tiny little piece of stylopoda, and that's that pink style, that's that purple stylopoda that's in my tank now. It's the same piece, hundreds and hundreds of frags, and it just seems to. But like, I totally agree. I think 12 to 18 months is the magic point for adding SPS, because I think your tank's mature then. It's ready, it's stable, everything's fine. And I think, like Paul just said, it's SPS just seems to say, yeah, you know what? I'll give this place a go. I'll see whether I can settle, and if I don't, then I'll just bail out. And that's just the way they do it. But 9 times out of 10, they settle in, and they just thrive off it. Then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And I think like things like Stylophora and Montes, I find they're the easy ones to look after.
Easy
so
ones
therefore
to
you can get a bit more of a swing and stuff like that. But other people think they hate Montes because they just don't grow. So what kind of SPS have you tried, Lauren? Have you tried all kinds, or are you on the hardy ones? So go on.
Yeah, I tried some scrolling Montipora, but maybe I need to start with the plating or the encrusting Montipora first, and because they're even a step. They're meant to be a step even.
That's what I'm saying. The plating ones, I think, are the easiest ones, like the plain green or purple. Yeah. I think the lime green ones are stunning. The purple ones don't show up very well on blue light, but the green ones just pop regardless of the light. I think it's a really great coral to have because your tank looks
great SPS, beginner SPS or first starter for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So
and another one is like bird's nest. Bird's nest, you know, like bird's nest.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's bird's nest over in Australia. That sort of stuff. Yeah, Hystrix, those sort of things is perfect. Begin like to just see whether your tank's ready for it. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I started off with so I think it's probably still trying to mature. So I'm definitely going to give it a few more months before I attempt it again. I think I'm only going to start with the smallest bit of Montipora, like a plate, and just try that because I can't do another video that I failed to get this. We'll see what happens. But I'll just.
Well, you know what though, it just goes to show, though, doesn't it? It's like you know, like with your channel, though, it's like you're showing the good and you're showing the bad, which is what people need to. You need to show. I'm the same. I show if I've got any losses or corals die, I tell you as it is. It's everything in this hobby is not the be all and end. Everything doesn't live. Everything doesn't survive. Everything doesn't go good all the time. Certain things happen in reefs, and it does. And anybody who says I've never had anything go wrong with it, they're liars because something will go on in your tank. You know what I mean? No matter what, especially if you've got a marine tank, something's going to happen, and it does happen. You know what I mean? But you just got to be honest and, like you said, just come out and say, "I really don't know. Need this help, or can anybody advise me?" And that's what's good. Like you just said, is about having that network of people being able to help. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, that's good.
And I think we said this before about we are water keepers when we get to the SPS. I think the other thing with SPS, because even if you keep the water really stable, in the early days it is still bow. So I think it is also around bacteria and stuff that's built up in the tank. Well, you could argue that's water, but I mean, obviously bacteria that quite often is on your rocks and stuff. So I think with SPS, absolutely, once your tank's ready, you then got to keep your water parameters and everything else in certain range and stuff like that. But there's certainly something about SPS hating immature tanks from what I've seen and what I read on that. I think having an auto.
Go on, Paul. Go on.
All I was going to say is I think having an auto top off helps. So when you get that will help with some stability in that. Building up the bacteria, like having live foods, that kind of thing. Having the right, I suppose, amount of fish, and then it's just patience after that. And maybe just I put quite a few LPS in the floating aquascape. Those LPS are now coming out and they're now replacing them with Montes and stuff like that. At some point I'll do a video. But I've got bubble algae all over the rockwork and I can't get rid of it. I've put a couple of crabs in, they've disappeared. But in a way I don't care because the tank still looks really, really nice. So I'm really happy with that one. And bubble algae, still go. I'll sort it out in the end. I'm not gonna nuke it because I'll end up upsetting the corals. But when I look at it, I don't see the bubble algae. I see this floating aquascape with these these SPS that are now beginning to pop. It's the best the tanks looked. Dare I say Touchwood. But that's 18 months. That's a long time to get an SPS to look good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, every other coral is like LPS. softies, those sort of things. They look good straight away the moment you put them in the tank. SPS, when you put an SPS in the tank from a frag shop or your mate round the corner or whatever, they just look shocking. They don't look like what they look like on a photo in the shop. They just don't look the same. And it just comes down to like taking it just wants to settle in your tank. It wants to stabilize. It wants to get ready into its new home, in new environment. And like I said, if we can keep our water and keep everything all together, I'd say, the right amount, the right quality, your SPS will take off eventually. I say it time and time again. I put SPS in my tank and I'm like, 7 months down the line, it still's the same. It's not grown. It's like done, not done. I'm like, what the hell's going on? What am I doing wrong? All the other and then all of a sudden, boom, it just explodes, spreads, grows upwards, outwards, and it's just like within like a month, it's like grown double the size. You know what I mean? It's just it's crazy how they work. SPS.
Absolutely. So we only got a kind of minute there. So what's your next steps on that tank? You're just going to kind of let it chill, try and do a little bit as possible, and just wait it to mature, and then put a couple of tests in it.
I did end up caving and putting some zoas in there just for a little bit. I just wanted something to do. So I've got a little zoa garden happening just for a little bit of colour. But I've got my in there, and because I went to my LFS up in Perth, and they had this combo of zoas and SPS, and it looked amazing. So I might be, I don't know. I just wanted something to work in there and something to at least start it off. So I'm going to start a little zoa garden and wait a few months before trying anymore.
You could just do that, just build it out LPS, and then all of a sudden you swap it out and test it, and over time you swap it out, because at least you've got some colour and you're not frustrated. You'll be frustrated not for have SPS, but you won't be frustrated because it's better.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, one last thing before we finish. There's this thing about tangs. We're finished on tangs, and Chris Allen's Tang poops in the same corner next to where we sit. I don't know if that's a coincidence. And then there's some other comments about others do the same.
I've seen that.
Have you seen the same? Does that happen to you, Lauren?
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Did it?
Yeah.
What, in the same place?
Oh.
Yeah.
Front right for me too. Is this a thing? I've never heard of this as well.
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of it. I tell you what, my yellow tag never did that. She did it just while she was swimming across
she
the
was
front
carefree.
of the glass. She didn't care where she was doing it. Yeah, no way.
It's my fox face
that's
that
crazy.
does that. Goes into one corner. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
I never knew that.
And on that note, we're out of time. So, Lauren, thank you very much for getting up at 3 in the morning. What a trooper you are to be with us this morning, this evening, the afternoon, depending on where you are around the around the world. Thank you as always for joining us. Steve, thank you for, as always. Thank you for everyone.
Appreciate it.
Loads and loads of questions, loads and loads of comments. I think I got most of them. If I missed them, apologies. Because I usually do miss some. Now, Steve, we're with you next week, aren't we?
I think we are, mate. Yeah. I think we are. Yeah, I've not got my duties, but I'll post something anyway on social media, Instagram or YouTube. Something will be posted. But I've not got my actual work duties at this moment, so it should be good. But,
so I'm not too sure if Ross is back.
It's going to be on one of ours.
Jay's back next week.
Jay will be back.
Right. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Lauren.
Enjoy.
We'll keep tuned with your videos on Instagram as well.
Yes.
Cheers.
Go check it out, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.